All right, like I said, we're going to get right started so that you have time to start your homework. Just to review really quickly what your homework will be today. You are going to be responsible for drawing erosion from our notes. Excuse me. You may not reach into my things without asking me. You have a seat and wait. You're going to be responsible for drawing erosion. Based on our notes that you take today, you're going to be drawing a picture that's going to include two or more factors of erosion that affect erosion, and at least one type of mass wasting, which you'll see about today. Now, in your picture, what the drawing must include is a real-life picture. So you're going to be drawing some type of landscape picture that's going to include this. Do not separate out one effect of erosion, a second effect of erosion, and then one type of mass wasting. No, your entire picture must include all of that as if it were a picture that you were hanging on the wall. Do you understand? All right. In our notes today, you have a sheet that you have that we're going to be taking notes on. Please make sure you follow through and jot down the things that you need to jot down. So let's go ahead and get started. All righty. Looking at your notes, erosion is the process of what? Elijah.
Erosion is the process of breaking down rocks.
Breaking down soil or rock, that's a good one. But breaking down, what's another term for breaking down? What about wearing away? Any of those?
Sewing off.
Weathering away, all of those are good. So Elijah said breaking down, all of that, everything that we just said is fine. I'll put breaking down on here. Or wearing away, all of that means the same thing. Of rock through the forces of what? Tim?
Water.
Okay, water is one. And when we say water, what are some things that we mean about water?
Precipitation.
Precipitation. Rain, hail, sleet, snow, glaciers, all of those things. That says what? Yes. What else?
Ice.
That's water.
Oh,
Heat.
Wind. Is wind always cool?
yeah.
No. Sometimes you got hot air blowing. All right. And what's another thing?
Natural electric.
Well, that's all going to come and play with this. But remember, it's wearing away, so it's going to be pulling it. So what is that? Pulling. Say it. Who? Keelan, I see you said it? Gravity. Is everyone good? Okay. Then let's move on. Can I get a volunteer to read the first paragraph? Go ahead, Tim.
Both soil and rocks that have been broken into small bits by weathering and prone to erosion. Erosion is a natural part of the rock cycle, but it's also something that can get out of control and make the soil nearly useless for planting and building.
Okay, good. What did we get from that paragraph? Summarize that for me. What is that paragraph? What is the importance of that paragraph?
To talk about how erosion is a big part of the rock cycle.
Yeah, that's words that are directly in there. So what is that implying to us? Is the rock cycle something that's necessary?
Yes.
So is erosion necessary?
Yes.
Yes, erosion is very important. But what?
It got a hand.
It can get out of hand, meaning it's important, but it also can be dangerous. All right, next paragraph. Go ahead.
Erosion is caused by wind, water, and gravity. Every day, all day, these agents knock down and move around loose fragments of rocks and soil. A soil eventually erodes, but the speed at which it happens depends on the circumstances.
Okay, so what does this cover? What did we just write?
Erosion.
What erosion is. It's caused by wind, water, and gravity. And then what it does, what does it do?
It breaks down rock.
It breaks down your rock. That's what that loose fragment. What about this all soil eventually erodes, but the speed at which it happens depends on the circumstances? What is that talking
The
about?
soil comes up.
Huh?
The soil comes up and comes up.
What's the next words on your note? What's the next big area of your notes? So what is this talking about? All the factors. So it says All soil eventually erodes, but the speed at which it happens depends on the circumstances. This is talking about the factors. Now look at your next portion. What does it say? Right before the bullet. I'm sorry, after what we just wrote.
Explain how a permanent channel is formed by erosion.
Explain how a permanent channel is formed by erosion. Let's go ahead and read more. Come on, give me the next paragraph. Go ahead, Elijah.
Picture a big open field without any plants. Whenever it rains, raindrops make a little dent in the soil,
Dislodging.
dislodging little bits of it. In the ground, it slopes. The rainwater runs down the hill, carrying soil bits with it. Over time, the following rainwater cuts ditches into the ground, forming a permanent channel. These ditches widen, carrying valuable soil away from the field. After a while, nothing will grow there anymore because the soil is thin or gone. That's erosion. If there's a creek or a river near your home, you often can find places where the water has cut into the banks, eroding the soil.
All right. Now, what's a channel? Okay, let's not think about science. If I said channel, what are you thinking about? TV channel. Okay. So what do? You change the channel. So do channels go from one to the next to the next? So it's a what? Starts with an F.
Filtration.
It goes from one to the next, 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 to the next. What is that called? A what?
Come on.
A flow. You have to be louder and confident in it. That is a flow. So what's a channel? It's a flow of something, and that's why they call them channels. So in your question that you have on your notes, I don't have it in front of me, but yours says, explain how a permanent channel is formed by erosion. Based on what Elijah read to us, explain to me how a permanent channel is formed by erosion. Just so you know, again, here's the words. Tim.
Rainwater cuts through the ground.
Okay, so he says here, whenever it rains, raindrops make a little dents into the soil, and so it's cutting into the ground, and then what happens? Well, you want to put that down. When rainwater cuts in the ground, that is definitely true. But does it just cut and form a hole in the ground, or what happens?
It dents the soil.
It dents the soil. Yes, that is true. That cuts in the ground. But there's other words on here that helps us to understand what happens to create this channel.
It slopes.
Huh?
It slopes.
Okay, it slopes, and then what? If something slopes, it's going to do what?
Go down.
Run downhill. Here you go. Rainwater runs down the hill. And that's going to form your permanent channel. Now you're not finished. I'll give you a moment to finish writing this down. ¿Tú quieres un papel? Papel de notas. No? Do you need a note paper? Oh.
That was Chinese right there.
Oh, really? That was bad. What is that?
All right, you're not finished because now it says, be sure to include why there will be a drought in crops. Let's continue reading a little bit more. Can I get someone to read the last paragraph? Someone that has not read already. Terrell. You can't read. Yes, you can. Get out. Now you can.
Okay, most erosion is due to the flow of water, but we can also erode soil. In the 1930s, portions of the Great Plains were called the Dust Bowl because the wind blew away the
Topsoil.
in huge clouds of choking. Blinding dust. If the ground had been wet, or if there had been a lot of plants growing, the soil wouldn't have blown away so easily.
So based on everything that has been read here, why would there be a drought in crops or growth? Why would there be a drought in crops? Look at it for yourself and read it a little bit more.
Oh.
Read it again. Miracle.
Because the wind blew away the topsoil.
Okay, she said the wind blew away topsoil. What else?
Because of the dust bowl, it's like the sand sucked up, like sand sucks up the water. It fills.
Wait, think about it first and get your thoughts together. Tim.
If the ground's not wet enough.
Okay, but why wouldn't the ground be wet enough?
Cause
Michaela? Beautiful?
I was so you still on his question or?
Either or, whatever you have to say, tell me what you're answering.
I was gonna say wind can also erode soil.
Okay, wind could erode soil, but what's on that soil?
what?
What else could have been on the top of that soil?
Sand.
What else, though?
Dust.
Plants.
Carrying soil bits with it. What do we grow on soil? Crops. So if these raindrops is going to drag soil down through over time, what is it going to do to those crops? It's going to also drag those crops with it, correct?
Yes.
So when the farmer goes out to get his crops, they're going to be gone. Bye-bye. Downhill they went. So this is why there would be a drought or a drought in crops or growth, because it's not going to be able to grow because the soil is going to be damaged. Everything's going to be pulled away and eroded. So you need to put that on your paper. And it says it here. These ditches widen, carrying valuable soil away from the field. That the reason why it's valuable is because it has crops. And that says after a while, nothing will grow there anymore because the soil is thin or gone. Everyone fill that portion out on your notes? I'll give you a moment to write.
Can I just write soil will be damaged?
As long as you understand why that is important, why the soil will be damaged. If you don't know that, then you want to put soil used for growing crop will be damaged. Can I move? Please let me know if you're still writing. I'll wait. Can I go?
Yeah.
Okay.
Maybe so.
All right, so we went ahead and we answered this question and we're done with that. When is soil most vulnerable to erosion and why? When it's dry? Why is it more valuable when it's dry?
It has no moisture,
Okay, so what does that mean?
and plants need water to grow, and crops to grow.
But this is not talking about plants. This is talking about erosion.
Oh, cause
Wait, first of all, what does the word vulnerable mean?
Basically, easily.
Huh?
basically you can attack it easily.
It's easily affected. Okay, so it's asking when is soil most easily affected by erosion? Beautiful.
Water.
I said the raindrops because it makes it dense in the soil for it able to cut through.
So you're saying when the soil is wet?
Yeah.
Okay, Elijah?
Oh, when it's dry.
Why would you say when it's
Because
dry?
the soil breaks, because the soil crumbles, and erosion could.
Okay, let me ask you this. When you have a substance, does a substance feel lighter or heavier when it's wet?
Heavier.
When it's wet, it's
When it's
lighter.
wet.
No, it's
That's
heavy.
heavy.
Think about a shirt that you're holding. If you ball a shirt up in your hand and it's dry, it's not going to be as heavy as if when it's wet, correct?
Yeah.
What is erosion? The breakdown of something. Not just rocks, but it is just the breakdown of something. Is it easy to break down something lighter or something heavier? Something lighter. So when, with that being said, is soil most vulnerable? When it's dry. And don't forget about this why. Oftentimes when you guys have homework or you have things that you need to write, you answer the question and then you forget about the second portion and the why. And whys are answered with the word starting with what? Because. So why?
When it's easy to break down things.
Because dry substances are easy to break down, also known as erode. And we're going to see a demonstration on that in just a little bit. And I'll write in a darker color because I see that that's a little difficult to see. Any questions? Okay. And now we're going to move on to factors that affect erosion. So let's take a look at Bill 9 for a second.
Let's try some word association. I'll say a word. You just say the first word that pops into your head. Ready? Day.
Day after day, the earth is worn down by water, ice, wind, and chemicals.
Night.
Night after night, the process continues, relentlessly, unabated, pounding on the earth.
Interesting. Dog.
Doggone it! That mountain used to be higher and more jagged.
Aha! I think I see the problem. It goes back to your childhood. You are obsessed with erosion.
Bill Nye the Science Guy.
Erosion Demolition, Inc. Give us the time and we'll wear away anything you got. Rocks are solid. They're rocks. But every rock on the Earth's surface will be different tomorrow from the way it is today. They're eroding.
Water, ice, wind, sand, and chemicals are constantly crumbling mountains, flattening hills, widening valleys, and deepening canyons. Erosion never stops. Never! Take a look at this. It's our water flow erosion model of science. It's a piece of mineral salt and a hose. Now watch what happens when a stream of water slowly flows over it. It's changing. The water is carrying some of the solid away. We say it's eroding. Now this takes time. This is our expanding ice bottle of science. When we freeze the water inside with this ordinary household liquid nitrogen, the liquid water turns to solid ice, and it expands. It can split the bottle right open. See? Now, when liquid water gets in cracks and rocks and freezes, the rocks split open. This is another cause of erosion. Well, it's coming along.
See, the rock is changing. Very, very slowly. Changing. Here we go. Zip up. No, we're looking some wind erosion. This is sand. This is a sandblaster. Let's say that these plastic foam mountains are mountains. Yeah. What? See, every particle of sand carries away a little bit of mountain. So that after a while, the mountains change. They're eroding. Okay. How do I fix that? Hello? Hello? Anybody?
Got it.
Look, the water has worn a little canyon. See how deep it is? Landscapes all over the world are always changing. It's erosion.
Now, just a reminder, your homework is going to be to draw erosion as it is in a landscape, using the things that we're learning today. So this is the reason why you see these different things that I'm showing you. So if you have to go back to the lesson on the website to look at these types of things, then so be it. So now we're going to look at factors affecting erosion. What does that mean when I say factors affecting erosion? But what do I mean? Be more specific. What do I mean when I say what are the factors that affect erosion? These are the things that what? Contribute to erosion. But remember, in the very beginning, we said something about the speed. We're looking at the different things that are going to contribute to how fast or how much something erodes. If you don't know what that means when it says factors contributing to erosion or factors affecting erosion, you want to write that down. This means the things that are going to make erosion happen at a certain speed or make erosion happen. So let's just take a look at this short video. All right. So the reason why I looked at skiing, or I showed you skiing, is skiing can be similar to describing erosion. Why? Because why? What is erosion? Breaking down and actually moving away of substances. What's happening with skiers? They are breaking down the snow and they're moving that snow from one place to another. Now, what makes skiing more fun when you are where? Down a hill. Why? Because you're going to move faster. Notice the people that were on a flat surface, are they skiing? No. A little short hill. Is that fun? Maybe for someone that doesn't like heights, but for the most part, a skier is going to want to do what? Go down a steep hill. So one of the effects, one of the things that affect erosion is going to be the steepness of slopes. Why?
Effects of speed.
So it's going to be more what?
Faster.
More what though? More what's going to happen? What is this under right now? What title is this under? The factors of erosion. So what is going to happen if the slope is steep? Is there going to be more or less? It's going to be more erosion. More erosion is going to occur. And this is the steeper the slope. So don't just put more erosion is going to occur because the steepness of the slope is going to determine the amount of erosion. So more erosion will occur if the slope is steeper. So the steeper the slope, the more erosion will occur. And then you might want to put an example. Skiing. Steeper slope equals?
More erosion.
We already put that. But for skiing, steeper the slope equals?
Faster.
Faster. Any questions about this? All right, so far, one effect of erosion is the steepness of the slope. The steeper the slope, the more the erosion. Another factor is how damp or how much water is within the soil. So let's take a look at this short video. These are just two little girls doing a little science experiment with their mom.
Dry sand, like as if it was a desert, and the wind blew the sand around pretty easily, didn't it, Esther? Okay. But this time we have some little water drops in here. Well, do you think those are going to blow around? No. No? You don't think so? Try. Nope, they're not blowing anywhere. Okay.
You're seeing the dry
Whenever
pieces.
you look at in our yard, is there water in the dirt, kind of?
These are the pieces that are
why
damp.
If we didn't have water in the dirt, would we have grass growing? No. And does our listen to me, wait for a second. Does the land, does dirt blow away all the time here? No, because it's got grass and water to hold it together, right? So this is how moisture, like the water, actually helps. It helps things grow, but it also helps to keep the land from eroding away, right? Yeah.
One time Keegan dug a really big hole and he found water.
All right. So another factor that's going to affect erosion is the amount of water that is within the soil. From previously, just writing in our notes, what do we know about moisture versus soil and erosion?
Moisture is heavier.
So what do we know? How do we know explain to me how moisture has to do with the effects of erosion. The more or the less? Explain to me in that way.
The more moist, the heavier it's gonna be.
Well, erosion. We're talking about erosion. Huh? Put it all in one sentence for me. Put it in a sentence for me.
Oh, the more moisture is
The more moisture, what is?
the sand, like
The more moisture in the soil, okay?
soil. The more moisture in the soil is. Wait, this don't make sense.
Tim,
The more moisture in the soil, the more erosion is.
the more erosion it is?
The less erosion.
The less moisture,
The
more
less erosion will
Okay.
occur. Thank you.
Thank you.
Sure.
Took you a little minute to get there.
The more moisture, I see where you were having a problem, Michaela. The more moisture in the soil, the what?
Less erosion occurs.
The less erosion occurs. Does that make sense? From that video you saw, erosion is the breaking down and the moving away of soil. Those two little girls had a straw and they were using, putting a force of wind through the straw to move the soil. I don't know if one was born, I don't know. But the two children with their mom, and when they put wind through the straw, noticed that the soil that was dry was the soil that was going to move, but the soil that contained the most moisture was difficult to move if it moved at all. Any questions?
No.
All right. Now we're going to take a look at our third effect, which is ground cover. Stop. Unnecessary.
Hi, I'm David with Smartscapes LLC here in Nashville, Tennessee. And we have an early spring morning, and we're going to be talking about how to control erosion in landscaping. Erosion in landscaping is a huge problem. It's something that everybody runs into, and especially on a property like this that we're standing on, there's about 5 acres of land that the water comes down and through here. So there's several different ways that we control the erosion here on this property, and I'm going to show you how we do it. First off, we put in a drain system that runs the perimeter of the backside of the house, and we hid some of the drains in the landscaping over in here. There's a surface drain right over here that is basically the low spot of this area, so when water does come in, it has a tendency to go that way. When it goes in that way, it collects in that drain, and then it runs off. Another issue that you have with erosion in your landscape is sometimes the dirt or mulch will wash off. And we have an area over here beside the pondless waterfall that we have concern with. And so we planted some cotoneaster along the side of it. The cotoneaster not only loves the water of the waterfall, but also helps protect the ground and keep it from moving. Another way that you can help control your erosion in your landscape is by mulching. You got any number of mulches that you can use. Pine needles, shredded hardwood, pine bark mulch. It doesn't do as well. It has a tendency to wash. And then you have any number of aggregates that you can find locally, whether it's river rock or whatever other small rock you want to landscape with. And we'll show you a couple different places where it's important for us to use a little heavier mulch, like an aggregate, to be able to control erosion. Another way that we'll try to control erosion in landscapes is by using rocks. Now, over here at the Pondless Waterfall, that's a huge example of it. It not only looks natural, but we're also holding the earth back with these big boulders that are so heavy that the earth can't push it over. So that's another great example of how to control erosion.
All right. Now, what does the landscapes have to do with ground cover? What does the word ground cover mean?
Something covering the ground.
What covers our ground?
Water. Grass.
Grass, dirt. What else is on our ground? Plants like
Life.
flowers, trees. What's landscape? What's landscape?
When you cut the grass and stuff.
But that's landscaping. So what's landscape? That's landscaping. That's the verb of what you are doing to the noun. What is landscape? The surrounding area filled with all of those things you told me. What are they? Plants, grass, flowers, all of those things. So his term was how to control erosion in landscapes, which means the things that cover the ground. What did he mention in this video on how we control erosion? Okay, mulch. So, and then what else did he say, Keelan?
Rocks.
Rocks. So basically, what is he saying?
Different types of ways.
Notice in our slope we said the steeper the slope, the
Less.
less erosion,
More erosion.
the more erosion. Notice with our moisture we said the more moisture in the soil, the less erosion occurs. Let's put it in that term. Something about ground cover. The less ground cover or the more ground cover? Which one? Okay, if we say the more ground cover, then what are we going to say about erosion? The less erosion. Why? Why? Covering the ground protects the soil. Which does what? Which does what? What is erosion? Breaking down. So which does what? Think about it this way. If you are trying to move a cart, a wagon or a cart through an area, and there's nothing there, is it easy to move it?
Yeah.
But we start putting rocks and boulders and chairs and desks and people. Then what? No, not in your wagon, but in the path.
It's going to be harder to get through.
So therefore, covering the ground protects the soil, which makes what?
Hard for water to get through.
Not just water, harder for what?
Erosion.
Harder for things to break down. And move from one place to another, because do not forget that important concept about erosion. Although it is the breaking down, it is moving it from one place to another. One big rock turns to little pieces and moves those pieces from one place to another. We're going to go through mass covering really quickly. Can I get rid of this?
Yes.
Okay. Alrighty. For mass wasting, as this video is playing, it doesn't. Not gonna have any words with it, but just take a look. But mass wasting is caused by what? Actually, what does the word wasting mean?
Waste.
Don't give me the same word.
Trash.
To get rid of something, not just trash, but to get rid of something. Notice in this video here, it is very slow and subtle, but you'll see once this guy is moving all the way. I'm gonna fast forward it some. Elijah, some of the things that you're saying in the middle of a lesson is not necessary. All right, notice these substances, they're moving down, and it's going to show you just a little bit more. Just fast forward through here. Here you go. You have these pieces of rock and pieces of substances moving down. So mass wasting is caused by something that is going to pull things down. What is that?
Erosion.
Gravity. And that's why it occurs on slopes, because you just told me that if something has a steeper slope, then what's going to happen? Then what's going to happen? the faster things are going to go down the slope, which means in this term we've been talking about erosion. So mass wasting is going to be caused by gravity. And we're going to look at 3 different types of mass wasting.
Oh, I thought that was what.
Alrighty. So one type of mass wasting is called soil creep. What does the word creep mean? Not person, but like to creep. To lurk. Right? So it's something that kind of, but if you're a creep or you're creeping, are you being obvious? No, you're trying not to be obvious, but the fact that you're creeping, you're a little bit obvious. So soil creep is actually the gradual movement and this, you can see it here in this actual picture where you see some grass and then you see some land, because over time this land has been moving. So this is the gradual movement of soil downhill. And that's what you see here, that it's all not even grass because it's been moving. Do you think that it's noticeable?
No.
Okay, so moving downhill and is not easily noticed, just like a creep. The next one, you've heard of this term, avalanche.
Oh,
And just like this video here, this is a mass ice or snowfall.
It can happen on the rocks too.
It can. But that would be called something else, and we'll talk about that in just a moment. An avalanche is normally ice or snow. And it's a mass ice or snowfall downhill fast. This is not a slow type thing. And easily noticed. The effects are deadly or can be deadly. Because notice, if there were houses down here or campers down there, then what? They'd be dead because it's fast. They can't get out of the way fast enough. Unless they've noticed it at kind of at the top of the hill and kind of move, but they would have to just save themselves, and really that's it. The next one we have here is our mud flow. And this is a very fast movement of what?
Mud.
Obviously. But what's mud?
Wet dirt.
So this will be rock and soil. Mixed with water, obviously. That's what makes it mud. But it has that rock and that soil in there. This usually happens in dry areas that receive downpours. Good? Are we good?
Rock slide.
Our next one is a rock slide. And this is what Elijah was talking about. It can be considered a landslide as well. But this is a mass rock break and slides downhill rapidly. Not a slow movement. Any questions? All right. For review really quickly, and if you want to review these things as well over your studying, then you definitely want to relook at this lesson. But what can a coffee farmer do to help soil erosion? Somebody that plants coffee. Coffee is coffee beans that's planted in a farm. Miracle. Najee.
No.
It's his turn now. You took too long.
I got B.
What's B? Plant trees in and around the fields. That is correct, Najee. All right. Next one. What is the slowest type of mass wasting? Tim. Soil creep is that. This should not be near slumping. This should be near soil creep. Sorry. What is a form of physical weathering? Michaela. Don't tell me B.
Oh, hydrolysis.
Hydrolysis. Nope.
What?
Obviously, my bad. I'm thinking of chemical. That's chemical weathering. Abrasion. No, it's not. What process helps form soil? Elijah. Weathering? Is that the only one? Tim. Weathering and erosion. Could be an answer, but Elijah, here. Doesn't have a lot of weight, that candy. Another term for rusting is beautiful. 3, 2, 1.
Oh, no, wait.
I need it.
No braces.
Nope.
I don't know.
Brittany. Oxidation is the correct answer. Which reduces the erosion of soil? Keelan Eister. Planting on steep slopes? No. Beautiful. 3, 2, 1. Tim. Drought? No. Because we just said in dry land is where it's easier. Terrell. Deforestation? No. Stop. No, obviously, we've already said all the answers. Planting on steep slopes, meaning the slope is steeper, that's going to cause more erosion. Deforestation, sit down. Deforestation means there's no trees. You just told me the less ground cover, the more the erosion. Drought, you told me the drier the land, the more the erosion. Year-round presence of vegetation means that we're planting stuff all the time, which means that is going to reduce erosion. Which process is due to gravity? Madison. Erosion and? No. Jaden. Mass wasting and erosion. Come get this. All right. Nope. And that concludes the lesson. You do have homework.